Welcome, Suswagatam, Jai Hind. Welcome to Expert Talk live show episode number 127. And I'm thrilled to have you all here with us today to guide us through this fascinating subject. We have an esteemed speaker with us, Mr. Mehul Mehta. We'll definitely invite him on the stage very soon. So stay tuned. And today's topic will be but our topic for this evening is one that is incredibly relevant and impactful in today's business landscape. How purpose-driven organization creates a competitive edge and sustainable value in an era where businesses are striving not just for profit but for purpose. Understanding how to integrate purpose into the core of organization can be a game changer. And so let us welcome our expert of the day, Mr. Mehul, on the show. Hi
Hello.
Mehul, welcome on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. How are you all?
It's my pleasure, and thank you for accepting our invitation and joining in on the show. And we would love to have your experience throughout the session. So,
Thank you.
audience, I'm your host for the day, Vipul Mali, founder of Post Resume HR Consultancy. We provide recruitment services across India and Africa, particularly for middle to senior management positions in an IT, engineering, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and textile industry. Additionally, we offer assistance to job seekers through resume writing, LinkedIn profile optimization, and career coaching. Friends, we believe that sharing is caring, and purpose of this expert talk show is to bring in industry experts like Mehul, who are joining us to share their real life experience and to help us with our personal and professional growth. So, to get more updates, you can check Mehul's LinkedIn profile. You can connect with him. He'll be happy to help you. He'll be happy to assist you whenever required. And uh, here is Mehul's LinkedIn ID I've shown here, so you can definitely check and you can subscribe that and uh, do follow our do subscribe our YouTube channel Vipul the Wonderful and press the bell icon to get the regular updates of our live session. So, a brief intro about Mehul. Mehul Mehta is a seasoned executive coach and global HR professional with over 20 years of experience in India and abroad. A PCC credential holder for the International Coaching Federation. He has over 800 hours of coaching experience. That's amazing. And an XLRI alumnus, Mehul has held HR leadership roles in Indian and multinational organizations, and as the founder and chief facilitator of Nimedya People Practices, he is dedicated to creating robust and inclusive and purpose-driven culture to provide a competitive edge for his clients. Audience, please feel free to engage and ask questions during this session. We would love to have your question. You can put in your question in the chat box, and we will definitely answer them during the session. So, without further delay, please join in welcoming Mr. Mehul again on this show. Mehul, the floor is yours now. Please tell us something more about you and to begin with. So, the very first question is uh, could you share us your journey and experience around purpose driven work and sustainability?
Yeah, sure, sure. So first of all, thank you very much for having me with you, and I'm so pleased to be a part of this podcast. I consider this as one of the important opportunities for me to talk about a subject that is very dear to me. I'm deeply interested, and you can call it passionate, although passion is a word that has now become a cliche. But more than that, I feel not as an individual but also as a business owner or as a senior leader, CXO leader of any big or small organization. Having a clear purpose can pave the way for sustainable success, and I'll underline this word sustainable. Uh, so, to quickly share my journey, I've been, and thank you for the introduction, I've been in HR for a bit more than 2 decades, worked with organizations like startups and multinationals in India and abroad. Uh, I learned about purpose when I was with my previous organization, and it was a journey when the new leadership team took over. The first thing the CEO decided to do was to recraft and reinvent the purpose, and we formed a big team, project team, and I also contributed to that project. And I realized that uh, if you are very clear with why, then you can manage any what and any how. And this is not coming from me, this is not my quote. Uh, every individual studying psychology, or even someone who is interested in psychology, must have read Dr. Viktor Frankl. His legendary book Man's Search for Meaning, and he has gone through awful lot of hardships in his life, and near death experiences several times. But what made him continue to hope for the better tomorrow was his why. Why should he stay alive? Why should he continue to face all those hardships? And identifying a purpose is very similar to zeroing in on this why. So, for individuals, let me give you an analogy of Hindi movies. So, if you remember some movies where a lead character feels very depressed and dejected and shattered, you might hear one dialogue that अब मुझे जीने का मकसद मिल गया है, right? So that maqsad is nothing but a purpose, something that is inspiring beyond your own desires, something more than your desires and expectations. A purpose is a direction. So you're very clear with your direction that this is the reason I exist.
So you rightly said, it's been said that your why should be why should be bigger than how. So if why is clear, then the rest will follow. So you rightly said.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I contributed to that project, and in that project we got perspectives not only from the leaders but also from people at the shop floor, and everyone contributed to define purpose of the organization. And once it was created, it was widely shared, and a lot of practices, people practices in HR, uh, were originated from that purpose. So everything becomes so cohesive, and that's how you build culture. So that's how I got introduced to purpose. And I did a lot of research, I studied, I referred to a lot of case studies, and I realized that this is an incredibly powerful tool for organizations to reboot their culture, or to build a formidable culture that can give them uh, not only employee engagement, productivity, but that can give them a solid reputation, a stellar branding, and also higher profitability. And I can share a lot of research articles and studies uh, proving this theory, proving this idea.
So very well explained, and very well, you have created the base of this session. So that's amazing. So moving on to the next question, and that question is, what motivated you to choose the topic of purpose driven work and create the sustainable impact?
Sure. So as I said, I got involved. I understood the power of having a clear purpose. Then I often used to wonder uh, how organizations uh, that do not only create purpose but also translate that purpose into the way of life make a difference. And I got that opportunity very recently when I started my own my people advisory, Nimedya People Practices. One of I actually mentor one of the startups that is into technology, and we had some business needs, and for that they asked me to help them with setting up HR practices, HR policies, processes. Uh, so I said, okay, yeah, we can work on it. Definitely, I've been doing it for more than 2 decades. However, I have a different suggestion if you're open to explore. And I gave them a metaphor and analogy of fruit and root. So I said, if you want me to pluck a fruit and give it to you, if that's what you want, that's okay. I can give it to you. I can prepare HR policy manuals, policies, and processes, and I can give it to you. But how about you taking a slightly longer route and you start with root and then go to fruit? So you build roots and then you get the fruit. So they said, what's the difference? And then I invited them to work on defining purpose of the organization. So initially it was not very well understood. They said, how is it going to help? Then I set up an exploratory workshop with them. I did some research and I collected different purpose statements of different organizations. And then we had that workshop with very open mind to identify building blocks of the culture that they intend to build. And the startup had, founder, CEO, very young, energetic, vibrant people. So they took some time, but then they understood that if they want to make a sustainable business, it is possible only when they're able to build a sustainable culture. So we co-crafted a purpose, and we agreed that we will build our entire HR practice, entire HR policies and processes based on that purpose, so that everything is very cohesive. The entire culture is not built by accident. The entire culture is built very, very consciously, that these are the elements that we want in our culture. And as a startup, it was possible for them because they were just starting, right? So we created that purpose, and that purpose also helped us to carve out values. Now, values are vehicles through which you live your purpose. And I know that there are many organizations out there with vision, mission, and values, uh, but there are very few organizations that are able to really live by those values, right? So, and besides that, I took up a project again with a fintech organization based in Mumbai, and I co-created purpose with them, with the leadership team, with their second in line, and it was very well received. They were able to identify and discover a lot about their key drivers as to why are they running this organization, which was quite subconscious. They were able to verbalize it, right? So now I'm working with that organization to integrate that purpose into business and HR processes.
So execution is a challenging task. Drafting
Yes,
a mission vision is, though although it's not so easy, but comparatively it's easy. But to live by that vision and mission and policies is difficult.
absolutely difficult. I can give you an example. The subscription to gymnasium increases significantly in the beginning of a year, a calendar year. Everyone wants their resolution. Everyone wants to shed their weight. They're so determined. But by March, again it goes down, right? So
So
yeah,
so the 1 month membership is 2,000 for an example, but yearly membership is hardly 8 to 10,000. It's
exactly.
so the logic behind that is, one of the gym owners say that लोग साल भर का लेते बट आते तो एक दो महीना ही है, तो that's why we are offering them, in a very discounted rate, because ultimately we are in advance, well, we are in benefit. So that's the logic. True, true,
True,
true.
true. So defining purpose whether you are doing it as an individual or as an organization, is only an important step, one important step. The real challenge is to translate that purpose into tangible, measurable actions.
True. So well explained, very well explained. To moving on to the next question, how do you define a purpose driven organization?
Hmm. So there are many characteristics, but let me share one example. So first, I'll give you kind of a structure from my point of view. What are purpose-driven organizations? So purpose-driven organizations are the organizations that strongly believe that their only purpose of existence is not making money. It doesn't mean, please don't mistake me, it doesn't mean that they are not ambitious. It doesn't mean that they don't care for profit, but it means that they care for things in addition to profit. They are not very narrow minded and they work day in, day out only to make money.
So money is not the only objective.
Yes. So for them, they exist because they want to make a difference in the world. They exist. And how do you identify them? So you will see that they will have purpose statements. They will have mission and vision kind of things very clearly crafted and communicated to every level in organization. So for example, if organization has matured in their purpose journey, if you go to a shop floor and ask one shop floor worker, they will also be able to explain why do they exist, what is the reason that the organization exists. And this reminds me a beautiful story, uh, a, a very popular story, and this is also one of the indicators of organizations that are purpose driven and are successful in that. Three masons were actually working, and they were doing some mason work. They were putting bricks, plastering. So a passerby goes from there, and he, out of curiosity, asks one of the masons, uh, "What are you doing?" And one of the masons said, "I'm putting bricks here. This is my job." Okay. And then he turns to another mason and he asks the same question, "What are you doing? What are you here for?" Right? Another question. And the person says, "I'm putting a plaster on the bricks that this person is laying." You know. And then he goes to the third person and he says, "What are you doing? What are you here for?" And the person says, "I'm building a temple." So he was doing the same job, but he was very clear with why. He was clear with a bigger picture that even if I am just laying bricks here, my role is not small. I am also contributing in building this large temple. And imagine the level of engagement, imagine the level of productivity of that person compared to those who are not clear with why. Right? The other example, if I may give you, purpose driven organization, it's actually a case study, and it is also mentioned in one of the articles of Harvard Business Review. The market leader in logistics in containers is AP Moller Maersk. You might have heard, a lot of people have heard that name. So their purpose is improving life for all by integrating the world. They're very clear with their purpose. But then there was a challenge. There was a challenge that because of their containers, they were emitting a lot of, because of the transports and logistics, a lot of greenhouse gas. And it struck them. Are we living our purpose? Are we living our purpose? So with that insight, the management, the top leadership decided to take a stand. And they said that in line with our purpose, we will uh, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and we will do it significantly. They took a target, and they said they will decarbonize their shipping as a strategic and moral imperative. So moral is very important here, and they did it. In fact, when they announced, they actually didn't know how will they do it. So they ordered 19 containers, new container ships. Actually, not containers, but container ships. And their demand to suppliers was that these ships have to run on green fuel. They took that, imagine they were still responsible for their shareholders, stakeholders, and it is important for them to make money. But for them, how they make money is equally important. So they took this step, and what happened? Even their suppliers understood that if they succeed in fulfilling their demands, they will become a part of something bigger. They improvised, they innovated, and they were able to. So it actually gave birth to a whole new way of thinking. And AP Moller Maersk is still making a lot of money,
True, true. Well said. So
right?
it's like leading by example, putting your heart and soul into it.
Absolutely. So that's why it's a world of difference between organization with purpose and organization that are actually purpose driven.
Very well explained. So the next question is very relevant. So what sets apart a purpose-driven organization from an organization without purpose and values? You have given few examples of purpose-driven organization, but what is a clear difference between or distinct identity between both these organizations?
Right. So, organizations that are purpose driven, they always look at the bigger picture. For them, short term priorities are important, and they pursue those short term priorities. But at the same time, they don't do it at the expense of the long term value creation. This is one of the distinctions. The other distinction is their leadership. uh, since I've started my business, I'm meeting a lot of business owners, some organizations, and I came across one organization. They are actually struggling big time in keeping their people. So they are a manufacturing organization, and they are not able to meet customer demands because they are not able to attract and retain people. So when they approached me, I said, uh, "What are you looking for?" And their response was, "Just help us with some, HR practices and policies that we can implement, so that we can probably, address this challenge." And my question to them was, "Why do you want to, uh, you know, introduce this HR policy and process manuals?" And their answer was not very clear. For them, it was necessary, nice to have, right? A kind of a checking the box that if they have HR policies and processes, other organizations have it. So I don't. Why can't we have it? And probably our problems are stemming because of not having such HR policies and processes. So it is very important that purpose-driven organizations first characteristics is they don't look at anything with a very short-term approach. They look at things with long-term sustainable view, and they always believe that the only way for us to make a difference is to do things in a way that is sustainable. So that is one of the biggest difference. Second is leadership. uh, Purpose driven organizations, can create value, sustainable value, only if the top leadership fully buys into this idea. Otherwise, so for example, AP Moller Musk, if the top leadership team had not taken that step, it it's not like they the other employees would have gone to them and said, why haven't you taken this step? So it's a strategic and moral stand that they took. And there are numerous examples. For example, the company with which I did this project of defining purpose, they had options, right? They could have looked at the problems in a very different way, and they could have taken a kind of a shortcut. But they decided to invest in knowing why they exist. What is the reason of their existence? And they also involved people from entire organization. I designed and rolled out surveys. What could be the purpose? Where do you see this organization? What are the characteristics of organization? And the purpose that was defined was also done based on global standards of purpose. So that is how a clear one, or maybe I can give you two or three clear distinctions. Once again, one, the way leadership looks at this, how they run their business. Are they running only for money, making money, or their purpose there is beyond that? Second, their leadership. How serious, how much their leadership team is serious about not only starting something but also sustaining it. And third is how well they are living by their values. I remember one example. There was one organization that was very clear about their purpose and values. And one of their key values was integrity. They were in finance business. And for them, integrity is the only way of doing business, sustainable business. So they realized that one of their high performers, a very high performer, a key account manager who was generating millions of dollars of revenue and handling big high net worth clients, was caught doing something wrong, and it was not a very significant thing, but still it. And so they investigated, and they found out that it was not it was not a mistake. It was done intentionally. So for them, they had two choices. Looking at the potential loss, business loss, they could have given a warning, or they could have probably, you know, just put, they could have just put this entire thing on a back burner and, act as if nothing has happened. But what they did, they decided not to tolerate it. They decided not to tolerate, even if it causes financial loss.
It's like setting an example.
Absolutely.
So rest will follow it automatically.
Absolutely. So that's how you can see a difference between an organization that is purpose driven, an organization that is not purpose driven at all.
Well explained, and you've given the right examples. I love the way you are giving the real life examples, and very uh, examples which are connecting with the answer. So that's well said. So you've said three things about what is setting setting the giving the difference between, showing us the difference between a purpose driven organization and organization without a clear purpose and value. So that's well explained. So the next question is very relevant, as we say in Indian culture, yatha raja tatha praja. So goes from top to bottom. So the leadership, which is setting the entire path or entire system for an organization. So how important is the role of leadership to build and sustain a purpose driven organization?
For example, it is as important as a body to live, or yeah, it's so it's very important for us to breathe, right? So for any organization that want to be that in aspires to be purpose driven, their leadership is like breathing and blood. It is impossible to even think about becoming a purpose driven organization until the leaders feel very strongly about it. Uh, to give you one very inspiring story, all of us have used Unilever products. Almost, I think all of us, a lot of us, a huge organization.
Huge organization. True, true, true.
The founder of Unilever uh, was Mr. William Liver in the 19th century. And when he founded Unilever, he was inspired by his purpose. Why am I starting this company? What is the need? So, of course, he was setting up this organization to make it a profitable company. But at the same time, he was questioning himself, what else? Making money is a result, is a result. Uh, and he wanted to uh, answer this question, that why am I starting this? Result is okay, making money is okay. But then he realized that most of the soaps at the time, soaps were made out of tallow, animal oil. So he decided to do something sustainable. Then he started to produce soaps with vegetable oil. So he applied his purpose in the way he designed and manufactured products. At the same time, he also applied his purpose by being the first person to introduce a lot of employee friendly measures, like building houses, establishing social security for the workers. And these ideas were very progressive in 19th century. So Unilever was one of the first organizations to offer housing, social security, paid leave. So he looked at the entire thing, and what was driving him was shared prosperity. That's what he had in his mind. So in 2009, Unilever was going through a very rough patch after 2008 crisis, and a position of a CEO was offered to a gentleman called Paul Polman, and he was in two minds whether to accept this or not, because there were there will be a lot of challenges. There will be a lot of people who will be ready to pull him down than to push him up, and he was not sure. But then what made him take this challenge was how William Liver started. And then he also, the first thing he did was recrafting the purpose of Unilever. Right?
Wow.
And his that was to make sustainable living commonplace. So when you look at the products of Unilever, make sustainable living a commonplace. And he recalls in one of the podcasts that it was very hard for him to first initially propose this, to translate this into actions right from top to bottom. But then it paid off. It paid off. How it paid off? So uh, he remembers that in 2017 there was a bid to take over Unilever by Kraft Heinz, hostile kind of a takeover. So he faced a lot of pressure, lot of short-term pressure to accept the deal. But then he realized that if he accepts it, Unilever's long-term capacity to deliver on its purpose will not be fulfilled. And
True.
he persisted until Kraft Heinz withdrew the offer. Right. So uh, this is one of the great examples of how leadership plays the role. And it's needless to say that under the leadership of Paul Polman, Unilever not only survived that rough patch, but by the time he decides to step down, shareholder returns climbed as high as 300%.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
300%. Right? So defining purpose and living by your purpose is like, it's not a it's like it's wonderfully said by Paul Polman that it's important to do well and do good.
True.
Do well in terms of your profits and everything, and do good to society, do good to stakeholders.
True.
And there is another story, and I would request you to share the link with the audience later, about a TED talk by Audrey Choi, where she gives solid data, solid facts, that if you had invested $1 in the US stock market in 1994 with organizations that are solely focused on making money quarter to quarter, the only focus is making profits, doubling profits, you would have, you would get $14 from that $1 at the end of 10 years. But if you invest the same $1 in organizations that look at the long term value and they believe in sustainability and believe in their purpose, your $1 will grow to as much as $28,
That's double of it.
double, right? And it doesn't mean that those organizations gave away everything in charity. No, they were doing that business with, of course, complete prudence, profitability in mind. But at the same time, they took conscious actions to bring sustainable aspects, to build communities. They used less water, less energy, right? They improvised their process, they reduced their waste, they engaged in their culture, they invested in employee well-being. So everything that is beyond just making profits.
True, true, true.
That's how I would describe this.
So you rightly said that money should be the end result. As it's been said that money should be a byproduct. Your that should not be your first objective. It should be like you should take along everyone with you, and that's how you should build an organization to get the long term results. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
So so the moving on to the next question, what practical steps can organization take to integrate purpose into their organization operations?
So first, I think it is important for them to embark on this journey of identifying their purpose. So assuming that they are clear uh, about their purpose as to why they exist. And I'll give you an example, and I'll ask you, and I'll also ask the audience. So, for example, you are building a hospital, and you have land, you have money, and you are building that hospital. Now, at that time, if you dive deeper in knowing what is your purpose, why are you doing this, what will happen?
So you will enjoy that journey, and you will have that sense of spirit which will help you to achieve your target, or you'll fulfill your desired goals. I think so.
Yes, that will give you some clarity. But if you are willing to look at your your purpose of setting this up in a holistic way. I'll give you two examples. So while building this hospital, if the leadership team says that our purpose of building or maybe chain of hospitals is to ensure effective and economical treatment to every patient regardless of their status. I'm just giving you an example,
True.
right? So this is probably one purpose. Second purpose, again depending on how they look at it, if they say our purpose is to become one of the most profitable chain of hospitals in India. Okay, these two are purposes, but the true purpose, the true sense of purpose is not limited to, as I said, results, profits. So but this thought process will reflect in the way they will build those hospitals. So a hospital with a purpose of providing effective and economical care to every patient regardless of their status, how will they build? They will build hospital in a sustainable way. They will ensure that uh, they hire people who will treat every patient with empathy. They will have their finances, designed and managed in a way that they will not make losses, but at the same time, they will not prefer charging more or making more money at the expense of proper treatment.
True.
So that is the reason they exist. On the other hand, if the purpose of organization is to become one of the most profitable chain of hospital chains in India, the way they will hire, they will the way they will design every room of their hospital, every service they offer, their purpose or their intention will reflect.
True.
Right? Same for example, jail. If you are building a jail, we are building this jail because we want to punish people who committed crimes, and that will reflect significantly in the way you will design jails and you will run them. But if your purpose is to keep people there and provide them opportunity to become better citizens, it doesn't mean that you will allow them whatever they want to do. You will still keep them. You will not let them free. It's
True.
against the society law. But
True.
how you treat them. So practical steps: define your purpose, get people on board. Do not define the purpose in that fancy boardroom. People will never own it. So involve everyone in your organization, get their input. Of course, you make a decision as the leadership team, but take their input, hear them, craft purpose and values, communicate them properly, and integrate your purpose in everything you do, right from taking business decisions. For example, if you are saying in your purpose that you believe in sustainability, but you take a business decision for short term profits, which is completely against it, then people will start losing interest. They will stop trusting you,
Very true.
right? So that's how you can integrate purpose into your business, your operations. It's hard. People, it is not easy.
Very true. It's very hard.
It's hard, but like any other investment, you need patience, you need persistence, and you need consistency to be able to reap the benefit, long term benefit.
You rightly said persistency followed by consistency is very much essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so that's amazing. Well answered, and we have got so much, detailed brief on this topic. So, one of the last questions from my end: how can uh, smaller businesses or startups with limited resources because this is a time of or era of startups, so uh, and they of course have a limited resources. So how they can embark on the path of becoming a purpose driven and sustainable organization? How can they achieve this?
Right. So startups, on the one hand, they may have this constraint of some resources. But on the other hand, what they have is very unique that a lot of other organizations don't have, and that is a blank canvas, right? So then there are I'm seeing some startups, some organizations that are very clear about their purpose. So first important thing here is the founders should be very clear why have they started this business, what is their ultimate goal. And when we start any business, we we do market mapping, and we also understand what kind of problems do we solve, and by solving those problems we create value, right? So while doing this exercise, if these startup founders can also identify ways of creating collective value, identify how do they want to exist, not only for 5, 10 years, but they want to leave a legacy. And it's a fact that all big organizations, multinationals, were once a startup.
True.
So how did they become such big? How did they survive? Average life expectancy of an organization approximately 30, 35 years. But if you look at organizations that have outlived, Tatas in India, right? Many organizations, the organization I worked with for almost 10 years had been in existence for more than 160 years,
Wow.
right? So how did they do it? They started as a startup, but they were very clear that they want to build a culture in their organization that goes beyond only making profits. And the first step is defining their purpose, identifying core values, and then looking at opportunities to start practicing gradually. And honestly, if you ask me, Vipul, it may not take a huge investment even for startups to invest in their purpose.
Very true.
It's here. If they decide that this type of culture we want to build, for example, if a startup is into IT, many IT startups, if they want to build a business that sustains on innovation, right? So innovation becomes one of their key values. And why do they want to keep innovating? Is because they want to probably reduce a cost of innovation, which probably today very high and not affordable to a lot of people.
True.
So that's how they go beyond their today. They look into the future, and then they start preparing by gradual, step by step, conscious actions every day, so that they also make money. At the same time, they also make meaning. So meaning, money making and meaning making both go hand in hand.
True. That they are two sides of a coin. So they go go hands in hand. So you rightly say. So that's very well explained how startup or a small organization can achieve this purpose driven organization goal. So well explained, and the session was amazing, phenomenal. We have got so many real life examples, and you've rightly said, a journey of 1,000 miles start with small steps, so you need to start. We have so many successful stories like Hewlett Packard and Facebook, and so many stories, they have started with a single room operations. If we see a story of Gujarati owner Nirma, which is a household name in the industry. So he has started his business, started he was going on a cycle to sell the detergents, so, and now
Yes.
he's a that's a huge conglomerate. So that's how the journey
True.
begins. Very well said. So
Abs-
so to yeah, so to conclude, what will be your final words, concluding notes, golden message, or final notes, final message for our audience?
So I would say knowing a purpose, and I'll use a couple of quotes here. One of some of my favorite quotes. So a very you know celebrated author Mark Twain, he said it famously that there are two most important days in your life. One is when you are born, and second is when you find out why were you born, right? So what your and the other way of looking at it is what impact will the world or maybe if you look at individually, maybe your circle, right? So what impact your world will have if you do not exist,
True.
right? So looking at beyond transactional, looking at long term value. And the second important thing and the quote that I remember is your ambition shape what you achieve, but your character is defined by how you achieve it.
Well said. True.
So that is very important. And I'll be happy to have conversations with organizations, startups, or small business owners if they want to understand how can they embark on this purpose journey and how can they transform their businesses and create sustainable value for them and for their stakeholders.
True, true. So definitely, audience, you can connect with uh, our expert of the day, and he will be happy to help you with his great expertise. So I'll also share the Mehul's social media links in the YouTube description and LinkedIn description, so you can definitely connect with him, and he'll be happy to help you anytime. So, Mehul, thank you once again for joining us today and sharing your valuable experience and insight with the audience. And uh, thank you once again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Audience, you can put in your questions in the live session comment box in YouTube and LinkedIn. We'll be definitely covering them afterwards. And if you can also connect with us, connect with Mehul, connect with me for any help, any guidance. We would love to help you with whatever help you want anytime. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that was for today, Mehul. Hope to see you again on our expert talk show with different topic, with your real life examples. We love the way you give the examples, and that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much, Mehul.
Same here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Bye.
Bye. So, audience, this was our 127th episode. I'm sure you've got a lot of insights and lot of inputs from this session. So, stay tuned. बस ऐसे ही जुड़े रहिए हमसे. हम ऐसे ही डिफरेंट डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट्स को एवरी वीकेंड, एवरी फ्राइडे 8 p.m. लाते रहेगी. बस जुड़े रहिए हमसे. Follow us on LinkedIn if you're watching it on LinkedIn, and if you're watching it on YouTube, then subscribe our YouTube channel, Vipul the Wonderful, and press the bell icon to get the regular updates. And this session was powered by Post Resume, so you can check the website shown here, and you can connect with us for any help, any guidance, or if you are a corporate and looking for talent acquisition for your organization, then we would be happy to help you. So, with that note, wishing you a happy weekend. Enjoy, stay blessed, and keep smiling. Thank you so much.